Michael Carter adjusted the worn baseball cap, pulled low over his eyes as he pushed open the door to Carter's diner. The familiar bell chimed, but not a single employee glanced his way. Perfect. His disguise, faded jeans, an old flannel shirt, and 3 days of stubble was working. For 15 years, he had owned this place, building it into a beloved local institution with 4 locations. Yet he rarely visited anymore. Customer reviews remained stellar, but employee turnover had increased and profits at this flagship location had mysteriously dipped. "Counter's fine," Michael replied, deliberately roughening his voice. He settled onto a stool where he could observe everything. That's when he noticed Henry. The elderly dishwasher moved with careful deliberation, rail-thin with white hair, probably mid-70s, yet his eyes remained alert. "What can I get you?" a young cashier named Megan asked. "Turkey club and coffee," Michael said. He nodded toward Henry. "He been here long?" Megan rolled her eyes. "Forever. Should have retired years ago." Michael watched Henry for the next hour. The old man never stopped moving, never complained. Customers greeted him by name, and Henry always had a kind word in return. Just before lunch ended, a young mother with 2 children finished her meal and approached the register. As she opened her wallet, her face fell. She whispered to Megan, who frowned and called over another cashier, Troy. They spoke in hushed, annoyed tones while the mother grew increasingly embarrassed. Henry looked over. Without hesitation, he dried his hands and shuffled to the register. Michael watched as Henry discreetly slipped some bills to Megan. The mother's relief was visible as she left, thanking Henry profusely. "That's the 3rd time this week," Troy muttered. "Old fools go broke saving strays." Megan snickered, as if he isn't broke already. "I heard he sleeps in that junker car." Michael's hands tightened around his coffee cup. Over the next hours, Henry stayed well past his shift, meticulously cleaning. Twice more Michael saw him quietly cover for customers who came up short. "Why does he do that?" Michael asked a regular named Ron. "Henry? Good people. Lost his wife about 5 years back. Cancer wiped out their savings. He won't take charity, though. Proud man. Works even though his arthritis is getting worse." Ron shook his head. "Breaks my heart when I hear these kids talk about him." As afternoon stretched on, Michael noticed Henry wincing, rubbing his lower back. Yet he never complained. When a waitress dropped a tray, Henry quickly appeared with a mop, waving away her apologies. Troy, passing by, muttered, "Yeah, especially around useless old men who should be in a nursing home." At 5 o'clock, Henry should have clocked out, but Michael watched him start cleaning grease traps, a filthy job for night crew. "Henry, go home," Patricia called. "Night crew can handle that." "Just finishing up," Henry replied. Jake called in sick again. As Michael nursed his 3rd coffee, he observed Troy and Megan huddled at the counter, whispering and glancing toward Henry. Suddenly, Megan approached the register, frowned, and called Troy over. They made a show of counting the drawer. "We're short again," Troy announced loudly. "That's the 3rd time this week." Patricia looked up sharply. "How much?" $42, Megan said. Michael watched Henry straighten up, concern crossing his face. With growing unease, Michael realized he was witnessing something ugly. The elderly man who'd spent the day helping others stood alone, unaware he was being targeted. Michael had come looking for business insights. Instead, he'd found something far more disturbing. He made a silent promise. He would learn the full truth, no matter how painful. Michael returned the next day during the afternoon lull. Henry was working, moving slower, rubbing his wrist. Megan and Troy were on shift, heads bent together whenever business slowed. Michael used a newspaper as cover while he listened. "Old man Henry's been here for 7 years, Troy said, smirking. 7 years washing dishes. Pathetic." "What's pathetic is how he keeps covering for deadbeats," Megan snorted. "Playing the hero with his Social Security pennies?" Troy laughed. "Guy probably lives off cat food." Michael's knuckles whitened. "I bet he lives in his car," Megan said. "Probably sleeps in the back seat." Either way, Megan continued, "He's becoming a problem." Patricia's noticing the register discrepancies. "So here's what I'm thinking," Troy said quietly. "We know Henry's been slipping money in when customers come up short. But Patricia doesn't know that. All she sees is numbers not adding up. Megan's eyes lit up. So, if we just help those numbers not add up more. Exactly, Troy nodded. Make sure she catches him near the register at the wrong time. She'll think he's stealing. Michael felt a cold weight in his chest. They were plotting to frame him. I've got a cousin who needs a job, Troy explained. If Henry's gone, I can bring him in and we split the referral bonus. Plus, I'm sick of watching him shuffle around, Megan added. Makes me want to puke. Tomorrow, Troy decided. Patricia's doing inventory. We'll make sure the numbers don't add up, and Henry's the only explanation. For the rest of the afternoon, Michael observed Henry. Despite obvious pain, he took extra care with each task. When a teenager's card was declined, Henry quietly slipped Megan cash. Why do you let that kid slide? Troy asked Henry. Henry shrugged. His mother lost her job. Boy's too proud to take charity, but I know he's hungry. Sometimes a meal makes all the difference. Troy rolled his eyes, making a mocking gesture to Megan as closing approached. Michael paid and left, but didn't go far. When Henry finally emerged, Michael followed at a distance that Henry's ancient Buick drove slowly through town, then turned onto a dirt access road. Michael followed, keeping his headlights off. The Buick stopped behind trees. There sat a small, dilapidated trailer. Henry slowly climbed 3 rickety steps. The door stuck, requiring his shoulder to push it open. A single light bulb flickered on inside, illuminating a space so small Michael could barely fathom anyone living there. Sitting in darkness, Michael felt shame wash over him. How had he never known? The next morning, Michael approached Ron. That dishwasher, Henry, what's his story? Lost his Martha 5 years ago to cancer, Ron replied. They had to sell everything to pay medical bills. He still sends money to the hospital every month. Does he have family? A daughter in Seattle. She wants him to move in, but he won't. Says he won't be a burden. Too proud. Ron continued. They had savings, a nice house. But Martha's cancer needed experimental treatments insurance wouldn't cover. Henry sold everything. House, retirement, car. Got her every treatment. Gave them 8 more months together. After she passed, bills kept coming. Henry refused bankruptcy, said a debt was a debt. So he took the dishwashing job, only place that would hire a 70-year-old with arthritis. And the trailer, best he could afford while making hospital payments and sending money to his daughter. She doesn't know how bad it is. She thinks he's a manager there. Each detail was a physical blow to Michael. There's more, Ron said. That trailer park's being sold to developers. Residents have 60 days to find new places. Michael felt sick. Where will he go? Ron shrugged helplessly. His daughter keeps begging him to move to Seattle. He refuses. Says the people at the diner are his family now. That helping others gives him purpose. Michael knew he couldn't stand by while Troy and Megan destroyed a good man for petty gain. Michael arrived early the next morning. Today, justice would be served. He'd spent the night making calls, setting plans in motion. The morning proceeded normally. Henry arrived punctually. Troy and Megan came in together, whispering. Patricia paced, clearly stressed about missing money at T1015. A young woman entered with a small girl, Jessica Miller, a struggling single mother Michael had contacted. She'd agreed to help in exchange for a donation to her daughter's education fund. Jessica ordered, then opened her wallet to pay. Her face fell. I'm so sorry, she said to Megan. I'm $15 short. Megan's smile turned cold. We can't just give away food. Maybe you should count your money before ordering. Jessica's eyes welled with tears. Henry had been watching. He dried his hands and approached. I've got it, Megan, he said quietly, reaching for his wallet. Henry smiled kindly at Jessica. We all need help sometimes. As Henry handed over money, Michael saw Troy watching, a satisfied smirk on his face. The trap was being set exactly as anticipated. 10 minutes later, Troy approached Patricia. Boss, you might want to check register 1 again. I think we're short another 20. Patricia's expression darkened. That's impossible. I just balanced it. Megan joined them. I noticed something weird. When that woman couldn't pay, Henry came over. Right after, I saw him near the register. Are you suggesting Henry is stealing? Patricia asked. Troy shrugged. Maybe check the cameras? Oh wait, they're broken. Convenient, huh? This is serious, Patricia said. If someone's stealing, I need to know. Maybe do a surprise cash count right now. Patricia counted the drawer. $37 missing, she announced. That's over 100 this week. I have to take action. She marched toward the dish room. Troy and Megan followed, barely concealing their triumph. Henry, can I speak with you? Patricia called. Henry looked up, confused. Of course. Is something wrong? I need to ask you directly, Patricia said. The register's been short all week. Today alone, we're missing nearly $40, and it happened right after you were seen near the cash drawer. Henry's face registered shock, followed by deep hurt. You think I'm stealing? We've seen you at the register multiple times when you have no reason to be there, Troy added. And the money always goes missing right after. I was helping customers who couldn't pay, Henry explained. I was putting money in, not taking it out. Megan scoffed. On a dishwasher's salary? How convenient. Henry's hands trembled. I would never steal. Not from anyone, and certainly not from this diner. This place has been my lifeline. Patricia looked torn. Henry, I've always trusted you, but the numbers don't lie. And with multiple witnesses, understanding dawned on Henry's face, followed by profound sadness. He didn't defend himself, didn't accuse his coworkers. He simply stood there, dignity intact. I see, Henry said quietly. I suppose you'll be wanting my resignation. I'm afraid I have to let you go immediately, Patricia said with regret. Company policy for theft is clear. A hush had fallen over the diner. Customers and staff had stopped to watch. Many with disbelief. Troy stepped forward. I'll escort him to get his things, he offered, barely hiding his satisfaction. That won't be necessary, came a new voice. Michael stood up from his booth. He no longer slouched. He straightened to his full height, removed the cap, and walked toward the group with confident strides that Patricia's eyes widened. Mr. Carter, I had no idea. Clearly, Michael interrupted, his voice carrying throughout the silent diner. There seems to be a situation requiring the owner's immediate attention. Silverware froze. Conversations halted. Every eye followed Michael. Mr. Carter, Patricia managed, ashen. If I'd known, this isn't an inspection, Michael stated. I've been here every day this week, observing from a customer's perspective. His gaze settled coldly on Troy and Megan, and what I've witnessed has been illuminating. Troy forced a nervous laugh. Sir, we were just following protocol. Enough, Michael said quietly. Troy's mouth snapped shut. Michael addressed the entire diner. For those who don't recognize me, I'm Michael Carter. I founded this chain 15 years ago with a simple vision. Treat customers like family and employees with respect. Somewhere along the way, that vision was compromised. He reached into his jacket and removed a small device. Patricia mentioned broken security cameras. Interesting, since I personally authorized new ones 2 days ago. Hidden ones, with audio capability. Patricia's eyes widened. I'd like everyone to see exactly what's been happening in my diner. Michael connected the device to the television. The screen flickered to life, showing crystal clear footage. There was Troy, pocketing bills from the register. Next came Megan, voiding legitimate transactions. Then, both huddled at the counter. If we frame Henry for stealing, Patricia will fire him. Then I can bring in my cousin. We split the referral bonus, and no more pathetic old man bringing everyone down. Gasps rippled through the diner. Patricia's hand flew to her mouth. There's more, Michael said, advancing the footage. The screen showed Henry quietly slipping money into the register after helping customers. It showed him staying hours after his shift, cleaning areas others neglected. It showed him defending younger staff, taking blame for mistakes he hadn't made. Michael paused on a frame of Troy and Megan, deliberately creating this morning's cash shortage. This morning's evidence was manufactured, Michael announced, voice tight with fury. The only theft occurring in this diner has been perpetrated by the very people making accusations. Troy's face drained of color. Mr. Carter, there's been a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Michael repeated dangerously. Is that what you call deliberately framing a dedicated employee? Stealing from the register? Mocking a man who's endured more hardship than you can imagine, but still shows more compassion than you've ever demonstrated? Megan began crying. Please, we didn't mean. You didn't mean to get caught, Michael finished. That's the only thing you regret. He turned to Patricia. Did you know Henry lives in a dilapidated trailer behind this diner because he's still paying off his late wife's medical bills? Did you know he skips meals so he can help customers who can't afford to pay? Did you know he's been working through excruciating arthritis pain because he refuses to be a burden? Patricia shook her head, tears welling. Of course not, Michael continued. Because the management structure I created failed him. I failed him. He turned to his staff and customers. Henry Lawson embodies everything Carter's Diners was meant to stand for: compassion, dignity, and service. Instead of honoring that, we allowed him to be humiliated by two individuals whose only concern was their own gain. Troy lunged for the door, but two regulars blocked his path. You can't leave yet, Michael said. The police will want to speak with both of you about the theft captured on video. Megan collapsed in his sobs as Troy's face contorted with rage. You can't do this. We have rights. Yes, you do, Michael agreed coldly. You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you exercise it. Two police officers entered. Michael had called them earlier, showing them the footage. As Troy and Megan were escorted out, Michael turned to Henry, who stood observing with dignified composure. Henry, Michael said, voice softening, I owe you an apology. Not just for today, but for failing to ensure you were treated with the respect you deserve. I hope you'll allow me to make amends. Henry looked up with clear eyes that held no bitterness. No apology needed, Mr. Carter. You didn't know. That's no excuse, Michael replied. But I promise you this. Everyone will know now. Everyone will know exactly what kind of man Henry Lawson is. The diner erupted in applause, customers standing to show support for the elderly dishwasher who had touched so many lives with small kindnesses. As the police car pulled away, their former coworkers watched, a powerful lesson unfolding that character, not position, determines a person's true worth. The morning after, Carter's Diner opened as usual, but the atmosphere had transformed. Word had spread about the owner's undercover visit and the shocking exposure. Curious customers filled every seat, coming to show support for Henry. Michael arrived early in a simple button-down shirt. Henry arrived on time, looking uncomfortable with all the attention. Customers greeted him by name, offering smiles and encouragement. Henry, Michael called. Could I speak with you for a moment? The diner fell quiet as Henry crossed the room. Inside the office, Michael gestured for Henry to sit. I spent last night thinking about everything I've learned this week, about your situation, your character, and most importantly, about how my business has strayed from its founding principles. Henry sat with quiet dignity. Mr. Carter, I've always been grateful for this job. It came when no one else would hire me. That's what I want to talk about, Michael said. You've been working as a dishwasher for 7 years, often doing the work of 2 people, staying late without complaint, showing more dedication than employees half your age. He slid a folder across the desk. This isn't just a thank you. It's an acknowledgement of your value to this company. Henry opened the folder, eyes widening. I don't understand. It's simple, Michael explained. Effective immediately, you're being promoted to floor manager. The position comes with a substantial salary increase, full benefits, and more reasonable hours. The physical demands will be less taxing on your health. Henry stared in disbelief. But I don't have management experience. Michael smiled warmly. You have something far more valuable: integrity and compassion. You understand what Carter's Diners should be about better than anyone. The technical aspects can be learned. Before Henry could respond, Michael pushed a second folder forward. There's something else. I spoke with your daughter in Seattle last night. Henry looked up sharply. You called Sarah? She doesn't know. She knows everything now, Michael said gently. About the trailer, the medical bills, all of it. She was heartbroken that you've been struggling alone. Tears welled in Henry's eyes. I never wanted to burden her. She said you'd say that, Michael replied with a smile. She also said to tell you that love isn't a burden, it's a privilege. He tapped the second folder. Inside, you'll find the deed to a small house 3 blocks from here. It's nothing fancy, but it's comfortable, close to work, and most importantly, it's yours. No rent, no mortgage. Consider it 7 years of overdue bonuses. Henry's hands trembled as he opened the folder. "Mr. Carter, I can't accept this. It's too much. It's not enough," Michael countered firmly. "I also made arrangements with the hospital. Your wife's remaining medical bills have been paid in full." At this, Henry's composure finally broke. Tears streamed down his face as years of struggle and quiet dignity gave way to overwhelming gratitude. "Why would you do this for me?" Michael's own eyes misted over. "Because you reminded me of something I'd forgotten, that a business isn't just about profit margins and expansion. It's about people. Every day you've been living the values I only talked about." He stood and extended his hand. "So thank you, Henry. Not just for your years of service, but for showing me how to be better as a business owner and as a human being." When they emerged from the office, the entire diner burst into applause. Patricia stood near the counter, eyes red, but smile genuine. Staff gathered around, eager to congratulate Henry. "There's one more thing," Michael announced to the crowded diner. "Starting today, Carter's Diners is implementing a new company-wide policy. All employees will receive living wages, comprehensive benefits, and emergency assistance when needed. No one who works for this company should ever have to choose between paying bills and helping others." The customers cheered as Henry stood beside Michael, still dazed by the turn his life had taken. Amy, the young mother Henry had helped multiple times, stepped forward with her children. "We started a collection for you, Henry," she said, holding out an envelope. Michael raised his hand. "Every penny of Henry's expenses is covered, but I have a better idea for those funds. Let's use them to start the Henry Lawson Community Fund to help others facing medical bills or hard times." Henry looked around at the faces of people he'd served quietly for years. Customers whose names he knew, whose children he'd watched grow, whose struggles he'd eased in small ways. Their smiles reflected the impact of his quiet kindness. In the weeks that followed, Henry settled into both his new home and his new position. Though he no longer needed to work, he stayed on, not from necessity, but from choice. The diner had become more than a workplace. It was his community, his purpose, his family. And every day when Henry walked through the doors of Carter's Diner, he was greeted not as the struggling dishwasher living in a rundown trailer, but as the man whose compassion had transformed not just his own life, but an entire business and the community it served. Michael kept his promise, remaining hands-on in his business. The changes he implemented spread across all his locations, creating a company culture where kindness was valued as highly as profit. As for Troy and Megan, their names became cautionary tales in the industry, a reminder that character matters more than cleverness, and that true worth isn't measured by what you take, but by what you give when you think no one is watching.